A lovely warm welcome and welcome to this week's edition of Hot Current right here on Times TV and of course Times Radio with me, Wezi Kasambala, and of course the Times Group Editor-in-Chief, my partner in crime, George Kasakula. George, very quickly, ndakumbusana malawi kuti timabangila program imene.
Program ino zifozake mawa awiri. Mawa yamba ndi feedback. Mawa achiwiri Malawi.
Kodi feedback njijewa ndiyo?
Feedback ndiyo kuti kodi unibaniza kwa nini?
Kwanza unyumba kwa abafuna tinene njijewa. Nemwe auza feedback njijeni njijewa. Fa urina njijewa situ kutamba kwambiri mushijewa.
Kwa auza tsokolera kuti zimene muchitazo ifeyo ngati amene tikuzilandira magazo ndo amenewa. So ni maganizo athu aifa Malawi kuwapatsa tsokolera. Feedback.
Okay.
Yes. Iwo amatilamulira. Ndapatsa mphamvu ndasankha amatilamulira. Ndeti mafunika teza auza kuti ulamuliro muno mupangawo madecisions amene mupangawo na behalf ndi abwino kapena ndi woyipa. Izi sitichira kuti tibwere pano Wezi nkumaza noto tipite pa television tikapange program hot current ndeti zikanyoza atsogoleri tizikatukwana kapena kuachititsa manyazi kapena kusonyeza kuti ife ndifanze zeri kwambiri iyayi cholinga chimenecho cholinga nchakuti timakhupira kuti Malawi ndi watose 15 million katipo 16 ka 17 I think INSO afunika pange census ina pompano kuti ali Pacific enieni amene dilili koma to safe no matter what figure we are.
Yes.
Dziko lilo lathu. Ndipo amene akuliyendetsa mmalo mwa ifeyo. Nditi pafurika tizauza zimene tikuganiza zimene mmene awendesera dziko. Cholinga sicho wanyoza ayi. Cholinga nchoti timange Malawi okomera tonse. Osatokomera anthu amodzi kapena president okha ndiye akunyumba kwawo ndi anawo kapena nduna ndanzawo iyayi kapena ADP okha koma Malawi okomera tonse. Yes.
But the issue is it possible kuti aliyese zinthu zimukomere kapena are we being unreasonable when we expect government to please everybody? Aliyese ngakhale osangala nzoteka.
Kosatheka kuti aliyese akhale osangala Wezi. Chifukwa mnyumba mukakhandaka zako munanga tapeza ndalama akazanga tapeza ndalama tipangire chani
bonus
bonus mwina akuponya ndi bonus ku office akaza kuti ayi ine muno ku kitchen munigulire umachani
food processor
munigulire food processor ine ndizibeka makeke komanso ndizipanga ti majuice choncho muno nyumba ta fresh mukabwera uchito mzimu ka fresh ka
inu ine ndifuna loan more yapanja
loan more yapanja oloyayi bwanji tigulika moto anawa akumavuto apita ku sukulu mamma wadzuka nsanga mabasi ndiye mmagwirizana kuti ayi akazanga tenti gule galimoto tikafuna pita kumuzi tiziyendera cholinga nchakuti suti zikomere wekha amene unena we bamba weyayi koma zikomere dziko ndiye kuyanga funso lako suti tonse tinganene kuti boma lingapange zokomera wina aliyese mwa mamiliyoni amene tili Malawi koma boma nda president angapange zokomera dziko lino. That's why tikutchula Malawi. Sitikuchula George Kasakula kapena Wezi kapena Peter Mutharika tikutchula Malawi kuti zokomera kuti timange Malawi wabwino Malawi wokomera lonse. Fa Malawi akakhala ali bwino alipita patsogolo akukula akulemera tonse tizapanga benefit.
So I guess at the end of the day, George, what is most important is there are certain fundamental things and fundamental rights that we should all have liberty to expect.
Certain things that you can't negotiate.
Certain human rights. Not negotiable.
Simenezo tiziziona zizikhala bwino. Ndeni mabasa feedback kuti ayi zakuti is not negotiable. Zile constitution. Ndeni simungapange zimenezo. That's the feedback. Yes.
Chabwino. All right. So today we are talking about a recent report. That is the issue at hand today. A recent report on the Bingu National Stadium Stampede, the 6th of July Stampede, which you'll remember just a couple of months ago claimed the lives of up to 8 individuals, including 7 children. Now, the reason why this is such an important issue for us to discuss and why it was a very controversial issue is the reasons that were behind how these children and this elderly person actually died. And the reasons were, a lot of people believe there was a lot of political involvement in the sense that there was political interference to ensure that the gates were closed a little bit later. Some believe that was because DPP operatives, as George likes to call them, were trying to make sure that the seats were there for DPP sympathizers, and that is why the gates were opened late. But obviously, as a result, it meant there was a lot of scrambling at the last minute, which led to the death of 7 children and 1 adult. Now, just yesterday, or should we say, well, by the time you're watching this, it'll probably be a few days ago. But in any case, just yesterday, the president's report was unveiled, and in the report, they have more or less said that everyone was to blame.
Yes.
Yes. It can't be.
akuti aliyese
Yes.
adalakwitsa apolisi adalakwitsa kuchipatala adalakwitsa eda ku Ministry of Sports adalakwitsanso amazitukumula adapita ku stadium komanso akuti even makola amazitukumula ate inuyo mazenga kuti ndino ku headquarters ku sports ministry ku headquarters ndimapita ku stadium kumene kumagazitukumula pamene kumene koso kula anthu ena amene magrade awo na pamwamba panenuyo ndeno nunso mmalakwitsa then chodakwitsa china akuti makoloso anawa irresponsible parenting.
Yes.
How could they allow their children to go to the stadium? Iwo anali kuti ndiye akuti report iyi ikuti aliyese ngolakwa komano ineyo ndikuona ngati kuti aliyese ngolakwa pali amene apeza kuti ngolakwa pamene pali vuto penepo.
So let's look at the issues. You say the one report by the police blames whoever ordered the stadium not to be opened at 6, but instead for it to be opened at 10 as responsible. The other report by the task force, which was instituted by President Peter Mutharika himself, blames everybody ranging from police to parents of the 7 children that died. But the report, in your view, shies away from condemning the one who gave the order to open, or the opening rather, to be shifted. And that is where the matter really is, because those 4 hours made a significant difference.
Yes.
Do you remember when we would go for celebrations? Sometimes the gates would even open in the wee hours of the morning.
Before, yes, a day, 4 o'clock.
Yes.
4 o'clock.
It wasn't madness. There was sense to it, wasn't there?
Yes, they did not create a stampede.
Yes.
No, Wezi report yawo iyi njochititsa manyazi. Let's not beat about the bush. Tisa kambe nkhani mopyatira tikoti matupyatira ndiye kuti ubisa nkhani. Choona chake chakuti report iyi njochititsa manyazi. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace for one simple reason. It's a disgrace because deliberately the report is running away from the truth. It's running away from a central issue, and the central issue is very simple. What caused the stampede? Stampede kwina kulikose imachitika ngati pali chigulu. Chigulu chimene chifuna chipange chilowe pakakhomo kophapatiza imambika stampede. So the question is, kuti stampede yambe chitachitika njani? Chitachitika nchakuti stadium inachero tsekulidwa inasole 10 koloko. Chifake njani so 10 koloko pamene akwiza kuti tsekula 6 koloko? It's because somebody was saying here tikatsekula nsanga ndiye kuti adzadza anthu adzadza anthu akwa akauma. What other places around? That's you know it.
No, I don't. You do more than I do. Malowata.
Adzadza anthu osauka awazi malowata anthu amene ali na president ku BICC kumene kunali papemphero sadzalowa mu stadium. Anthu ovala makaka a DPP sadzalowa mu stadium. Now, who is this person that made that decision? Sana chule mu report. In the end, awuchula aliyese.
Because it strikes me, George, that this is a very, by them saying everybody is culpable and not without blame. It's very easy to then fail to point fingers at anyone in particular. It's very clever. It's quite strategic, isn't it?
It is,
in some ways when you think about it.
It is a cover.
Because then who do you hold account to account?
Wezi, it is a cover. Cholinga sichina. Cholinga chonena kuti tiwale. It is a cover. Tiwale Malawi kuti pa 6 July chaka chino. Pangota uno ndi September. Pangota minyezi weni umodzi. Wangota iwiri chabwino mukalenga 6 July yo. Tiwale kuti 8 people including 7 children died. Nobody will be held to account. Kuti analakwitsa ndiye tiphunzire maphunziro oyenera. Nobody will be held to account. Tingoyiwala basi. That's the idea. Otherwise a report that doesn't name and shame is not a report at all.
No.
It's a disgrace.
And it's interesting because not so long ago, you and I had this discussion. I think it was either on Times Radio or Pompa, and you said the problem with these kind of task force that the president tends to institute is they tend to kind of serve one purpose, which is just to say, well, we did something.
Yes.
Without necessarily actually getting to the bottom of the matter. So again, we have a case here where the task force was instituted. They claim they've found they have results, and the results are everyone was to blame.
Yes.
And then where do you go from there?
Nowhere.
That's,
you don't go
that's
anywhere.
the problem.
They are even blaming the...
No one has been fired, to me.
They are even blaming the design of the stadium. That this stadium was wrongly designed. And
there's more than one entrance and exit point.
Yes.
And wherever they have proper crowd management. Yes. You make sure you use make the most of all the access points.
Exactly.
Why did we not do that in this case?
Exactly. So, problem with the report is that it doesn't name and shame. That's where the problem comes.
Okay, George, so what we're going to do is, we do, of course, have a report on this report, which was released just a few days ago by the task force that was instituted to investigate the matter. So we want to take a look at this report in a bit more detail. Then George and I can come back and continue to dissect.
Department officials, stadium officials, and district health officers first aid personnel. The committee was led by Secretary in the Office of President and Cabinet, Zangazanga Chikosi, and blames the accident on poor planning, coordination among stakeholders, and parental negligence. But Center for Human Rights and Rehabilitation's Director Timothy Mtambo has dismissed the investigation, saying it offers nothing new to Malawians.
They were obvious that they were poor organization. It was obvious that the gates were opened late, and we talked about them even before the commission of inquiry was set. Now, we expected concrete recommendations and findings. We expected that there will be strong recommendation to say the following we are supposed to do the new before. It's more or less like the commission of inquiry is now spreading the blame to everyone so that no one is responsible and this issue should die like that.
Activist Bire Mayaya says the report should have come up with names of individuals and officers who contributed to the chaos. Mayaya says the report has failed to establish as to who gave the order for the gates to open late.
The task force has not done its job because I think the report specifically is supposed to target specific individuals, and therefore I think to spread the blame amongst everyone is unrealistic.
Both Mayaya and Ntambo have since called on the government to ensure that all affected families are compensated as soon as possible. Livingstonia Synod of CCAB's Church and Society, Executive Director Moses Nkandawire, says there was need for the report to identify the topmost official who was in charge of the whole planning process. Jameson Shauruka, reporting for Times.
All right, you're watching Hot Current on Times TV and also listening to it on Times Radio. And we were just watching a report there which was highlighting the revelations, or rather the results of the investigation that President Peter Mutharika put in motion following the stampede that killed 8 people on the 6th of July as they tried to get into Bingu National Stadium to watch a big Independence Day game between Silver Strikers and Big Bullets. Now, George, earlier before we saw the report, you were saying the issues are 2 reports came out. The police are blaming whoever ordered the gates to be opened late. The other report basically suggests that no one in particular is to blame. Everyone must be held responsible.
Yes.
Those are some of the real issues. And you're saying they're shying away from just pinpointing one individual.
Yes. The central issue.
The central issue
is that who ordered the opening of the stadium at 10 o'clock when they agreed to it at 6 o'clock. That's the central issue because that's what created the stampede. You gotta go to the stadium and say 6 o'clock or better still 4 o'clock menanka bangiragale. There's an hango fiko rowa in the single file kagana pankono alowa. Kuma people were waiting for the opening of the stadium. Who made that decision? That's the central issue which this report has shied away. That's why it's a disgrace, a slap into the face of the grieving parents.
Yeah, and it's actually quite insulting in a lot of ways.
It's insulting because one thing that these people deserve, they lost their kids, they lost their relative. One thing that deserve is the truth, and it's the truth that DP wants to hide from them.
All right. So what you're saying is, in some ways this smacks of a cover-up.
Yes,
what do you mean by that, George? How is this a cover-up?
You see, all this is nindale. Voto kuti zose zichitike. Voto linachoka pa nakuti a president da DPP. Amafuna kuti china chilichonse chikhale DPP. Sapanga rise above petty partisan politics. Kuti izi chabwino nza DPP. Koma izi nza dziko. Ndezikakhala za dziko zimafunika kuzitengera mwina, osatozitengera kuti ndikukapangarale yayi. That's where the president and his party in power are getting it wrong. nkhani ya independence celebration is a simple issue. Independence ndiya Malawi yese. It's a day when a responsible government would want a Malawi to say we should feel proud to be Malawian. It's a day when me, I should be able to go for shady ya magalas ya dzigolatu. Ndivala ngandi kufuna ndikatenga jazz ya flames ndivala.
Yeah.
That's the day.
Are you suggesting that you don't feel patriotic on this day because of the way governments are turning it into party events? So you don't feel like you're actually Malawian?
No, you don't. You feel Malawi. Simple example. Simple example is. Uswakambaza blue. Saru ya tsiku limenelo. Saru yoti amvale magala za tsiku limenelo. Instead of going for our colors. Magala za dziko alipo tose timaziwa ndipo we are very proud of them ndipo ali ni meaning
black, red, green
alipa flag yatu.
Yep.
What do? They say hapa beto DWS pangani salo blue mwike bonkhope ya president zomwezo akaika mbalanda about dziko lose.
No, but George, I've always said those particular issues, we've never been able to nip in the bud. Why have we always tolerated that kind of behavior?
I don't know. I don't know. To me,
why should we have their flags on Independence Day?
To me, we have tolerated them because suti bange decision yona kuti tipange ma flag awa kapana nimene tipange celebrate atsogolela tu amene apanga ma decision koma ma decision awo sabanga moti to safe apange mokomera ife poyamba tipakamba kuti upanga zinthu zokomera Malawi usopanga zokomera chipani changa koma zokomera Malawi. Malawi awapanga celebrate independence tipanga zokomera Malawi aliyese kani wa Congress kani wa PP kani wa UDF kani wa DPP afile kuti lero ntsiulanga ngati Malawi. So it starts from these little things.
Yeah, it does. That's my point. But we've allowed it to escalate.
Ndatsogoleri athu. We have allowed it because we are powerless. Sizozimangozona zachitika kati. We are powerless. So
okay, wait a minute.
Answer, no, before you get me. The answer to your question is we are waiting for a leader. A leader amene azatitsogolere amene azapange rise above this partisanship that is taking this country nowhere. And nkhani hii yakufa kwa anda ndi munthu mmodzi kuli Longwe inachokera kumene kukutu. Let me connect. Anapangira chikondwererochi ose ali ku BICC tikatsekula stadium Msanga blues akaoneka adzaza anthu akwa senti akwa akauma ndi stadium usatsekule mpaka timalize mamphero kuno gulu lomwelo limene lavala blue wa president pa tsiku la independence limene likadzaze so stadium. I see what you're driving at.
Yes. In some ways, you're saying that there's this feeling that wherever the president and his sympathizers are, we must feel their presence.
Yes.
Is that to suggest that somehow it makes him feel that yes, I have support? But what it means, and being supported.
That's where the problem. That's the central problem. That is thinking.
It's a bit of an illusion, though, isn't it?
This one-sided thinking among our leaders. Chipani changa pasitoizos. Akasakula hii amena jaya amenya na Malawi bangono koma anthu achipani changa na mena manikonda. No, it's what is leading to things like this.
But also,
and they are covering up because they want to protect each other. They know who ordered this.
Yeah.
Even the committee yoendesa mambo mene ucha oka momoti akatenga atu kama CSOs kaya akatenge even ku MCP ku PP mutipase munthu mmodzi kamnene kuti ma general secretary aza join cabinet committee iyang'anire mwina akatenge kuti yayi inu mukuti sele mutitsekule kale kuti nkatsekula Nsanga timapanga avoid chakuti iwo iya mutsekule 10 o'clock. Partisanship is a problem.
It is, but also, George, it makes me realize that actually the president is indeed surrounded by people, by sycophants, like you and I always say, people who try and give this false impression, this false illusion that things are well. Because sometimes I honestly think the president isn't even aware that these things are happening behind his back. When they're rallying these people into
maybe he was shocked with the Stampede.
Yes.
Stampede
all in a bid to make him believe that he has followers.
Exactly. So it's up to him too. to rise up above such partisanship. Siso ngada panga rare yachibani kunsanje afuna kapanga campaign kunsanje. Who cares? That's their party thing. But when it's about zinthu national, it towards the kalebo tipange chinthu chimodzi chogwirizana ngati dziko. For once, we should all be Malayas. And what a better day than 6th July.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, do you think when this task force was put together, George, the president genuinely didn't know what happened and genuinely wanted to find out?
I thought it's...
Or, because when you say cover-up, that's in some ways implicating even the president.
Yes, of course.
It's like you're suggesting that even he's trying to sort of
the whole system is trying to brush this under the carpet. They want to sweep it under the carpet. Oh, it's because the Aliese and no, it doesn't work just that way. There's one central issue that you must deal with, and they haven't dealt with it. I mean, that's an insult to the grieving parents. Imagine a mother has lost a child in that stampede, and then somebody saying, you two were to blame. If
you were being a better mother.
kurasa ruge asabire ku stadium uyonzi bayo owaga umagazi bayo wa sent ukanamukomera mwana wako nyumba kura asaturuke nyumba mwana mamukomera.
If anything, George, what I would have thought they would say is, if indeed it was an issue of kids coming in without any kind of supervision,
yes,
there should still have been some kind of a system to check who was coming through. Right?
Should we not all protect our children of Malawi? Should we say children of Malawi only belong kwa mayage? Should those people that were at the stadium were they not duty bound to protect the children?
The ones
whether they were they were supposed to protect them. You can't blame parents.
No.
You can't.
All right. So we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll then go into the cover-up in a bit more detail, as George is calling it. Almost like a conspiracy. It's like you're suggesting there's a conspiracy, George.
There is one. There's a conspiracy. There's a conspiracy to protect each other. They're covering each other's backs.
All right. We'll be right back after this short break right here on Hot Current. Welcome back. You're watching Hot Current right here on Times TV with me, Wezi Kasambala, and of course, the Times Group Editor-in-Chief, George Kasakula. And today, we are talking about the report that was unveiled by the task force that was put together by President Peter Mutharika with the intention of investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of 8 people, including 7 children, on the 6th of July during a stampede that took place at Bingu National Stadium. George thinks it's a disgrace. He thinks it's all a cover-up. How can the report possibly suggest that everybody was to blame when we all know that the central issue was in fact who gave the order to actually open the gates only at 10 a.m. instead of earlier, because that is why really people ended up jostling and scrambling all over each other, resulting in the death of 8 individuals. So that's the point. We discussed before we went to break that the central issue, George, is who gave the order.
Exactly.
You're saying it's a cover-up because at the end of the day, the president and his task force must know who gave the order. And those are the people who should be held to account. Am I right?
Exactly.
Now, let's look at the actual task force, though, George, because I think in some ways as well, this is what's pivotal to this whole issue. What was the constitution of this cover-up? I mean, this task force.
Another disgrace.
Yeah, because in this particular one, we had principal secretaries.
Another disgrace.
Yeah.
Another disgrace.
Okay, why do you say that?
I'm saying that because we know.
Because I think that's very important, isn't it?
Very important.
Who was
there was an organizing committee of these celebrations. The organizing committee, the main committee, consisted of cabinet ministers. Right?
Yes.
Now, clearly, if something went wrong to stadium, this organizing committee is the one that must answer for those things. In fact, this idea of who gave the order, to me, is the organizing committee. It's the organizing committee. Somebody,
because
yes,
where you are budget,
yes,
muka organizing committee. Everything on the day of the wedding comes back to Amada protocol.
So it's the who gave the order. Now organizing committee.
Yeah.
Now, this organizing committee was considered. It was considered by cabinet ministers.
Yes.
There were cabinet ministers in that organizing committee. Sinaija wika, President principal secretaries.
And yet it was their bosses who were the cabinet ministers who organized the entire event.
They are political bosses of principal secretaries.
It's interesting, George, because something of this magnitude, I mean, we've seen the loss, literally the loss of life.
Yes.
8 souls were lost.
Yes.
Maybe if we draw parallels between something similar, you remember when we had a Maize Gate,
Yes.
which resulted in the firing of former Agriculture Minister George Kabunda.
Yes.
There was another commission of inquiry that was
Yes, and
instituted.
who headed it with?
Yes, and in that one was headed by independent
former Chief Justice.
Yes.
Former Chief
Yes.
Justice, retired Chief
That's
Justice.
right.
Anastasia Sosa.
But also the Constitution, I think, was more independent.
Yes.
We had a lot of independent minds.
The fact that the chair
Yes.
of that commission or somebody who was not in the system,
Yes.
a retired Chief Justice, alikunja opanga zake, bwerani mai za Tanzania,
Yes.
independent. And just to show you it was independent, even when the president was expecting a different result, this commission gave this one result.
Yes.
The president was saying, Chimangadu, tingo soko samala tingo tantha ukambangana chimanga palibe chokwe chimene chachitika and amakamba zimenezi
Yes.
almost 24 hours before the commission was supposed to give him a report. Came the time the committee gave an independent report that made sense.
Yes.
Today people are counting. People are counting.
So-
matters are in court. Let's go to this task force.
Yes.
Principal secretaries are civil servants.
Let me ask you this, George. When it comes to the constitution of these kind of commissions of inquiry, who's responsible for determining who actually is part of the
It's
of the task
it's
force?
the president, and he must do the right thing.
Now,
if he does the right thing, like he did in the Maize scandal inquiry,
Are we as Malawians not empowered in any way to have some kind of an influence over who?
Sorry, we are not ways.
Honestly, we're not.
We are not. How?
But therein lies the problem.
You think the president will say,
Yeah.
Kasakula, can you and then appoint you to go and do the commission of inquiry?
Yeah, but then you see where it becomes a problem then, because if the president picks PSs like you rightly said, we have no control over.
Where's is abuse of power?
Yeah,
It's abuse of power.
That's my point.
It is trying to cover up things. That what we are experiencing here, you see, somebody has power.
Yes.
That power is legal, constitutional, given to him by the constitution. It's how he uses that power that is the probability here. We are saying
Yeah, that's what
the
I'm saying.
president didn't use power to appoint a commission of inquiry properly because he knew clearly that these are civil servants.
Yes.
Civil servants cannot go against their political masters. In this case, the ministers. There's no way
So
a civil servant unless you follow out to the children. Amena panga kuti amena lamula kuti seria muise ulire ni goroko na nduna kudako.
Wananga.
Amena lapanawo. Tikuombera manja. But at the end of the day,
Yes, you're fired, probably.
your career
It's
is in
over.
jeopardy. So for a president that governs interest ya Malawi, he could have given us a proper commission of inquiry like he did with the Maize scandal.
Okay.
But what does he do? He gives us
it ties in very well with your idea that perhaps indeed this was a cover-up.
It's a
Because
cover-up.
if from the outset they said, you know what, we'll have this commission of inquiry, but we'll make sure that the people who are in it are people who will not have much power.
They're protecting each other.
And then there's nothing you can do about it.
They know they've blundered. They know right from the start they mismanaged this celebration. They've blundered. Tragically for us, it led to the death of children. They know they've blundered. They're covering each other. They're protecting each other.
So let me ask you this then, George. Going forward, in the event, God forbid we have another terrible catastrophe like this, in the event that we need another commission of inquiry, are you suggesting that we will always not have any kind of influence and power over who is in these task forces?
The only influence that we're going to have is by speaking like this. That look,
Eh.
because you are branding, and the voters are seeing that you are branding, your decisions are leading to the death of innocent children. Perhaps you are going to change. Perhaps we're just pricking their conscience.
Yeah, because to me, George, something
Yes.
of this magnitude, you would expect a very independent panel.
Yes,
Completely
but
independent.
someone must choose that panel. You can't-
Yes,
all of us
exactly.
can't choose it. The power is with the president.
Is
Yes.
there nobody who can say, yeah,
Like what? You and me can talk about it, yes, like we are doing now. Even when it was appointed, we said it. Look, how can you choose civil servants? And why are you calling this a task force? Why are you not calling this a commission of inquiry where people are going to come, report,
the terms make a difference.
They make a difference. A commission of inquiry can even subpoena people, can even force you to go and give evidence. A commission of inquiry is more elaborate. What they do is more legal.
Yes, I think even Malawi Law Society President Kumbosoko commented on that.
Yes.
That when we say commission of inquiry,
Yes.
there's a very big difference.
There's a very big difference.
There's a legal mandate and jurisdiction which can be followed.
Exactly, yes.
Whereas the task force can literally be
it's almost like a court. Like a court. You even swear before you even give evidence. You swear. I've gone to a couple of them myself.
Task force in protocol yachikwati.
So are we surprised that this is the kind of report that they come? In fact, do we need to call this even a report? It's something else. Total crap, if you ask me.
But that's what I'm saying, George. So even in the very beginning, when the president said he'd put together a task force, should there not have been pressure from some quarters, whether it was CSOs, whether it was members of parliament, to say, hang on a minute, this needs more than just task force.
That pressure was there, should have been there, but at the end of the day, it's one single person doing the right thing. Citizens doing the right thing. The president must always do the right thing in the interest of all Malawians, not just in the interest of his ministers, because the interest is this is total crap. This is total crap. It's a disgrace. This is a disgrace.
So, the cabinet ministers, George, you made it very clear that they were the ones involved in the organization. Is there no way we can have, again, some kind of a grouping that comes together and says, you know what, we will subpoena these cabinet ministers?
But who? Unless somebody goes to court and forces.
Yes, is that not possible? Because to me, I'm thinking, like you're saying, if this is not satisfactory, perhaps there are legal avenues that can be followed.
I suppose there are. I suppose.
I
suppose.
about organizing committee.
How? I don't know. I suppose we know people that were in the organizing committee. It was shared by the Minister of Trade, Mr. Joseph Mwanamve, was in the committee.
So why is there no concerted effort to get him to speak out?
But what concerted effort? Can we go and open his mouth for us to force him to speak? We can't. It's the whole system conspiring ways. We Malawians are damned. We have a system here is a system that is protecting each other. They are covering up, and when people are covering up, they are covering up. So this report is a cover up. No matter what the Malawians say, we just know the report banga cover up because they don't want accountability. They don't want one single person to take the flag. And this president doesn't fire people.
And that, I guess, would only be the case if the president knows that this is very close to home.
Komaso is willing to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's right.
There should be that willingness of saying, 8 people died. That's not small number. 8 people died. The list that the parents or even the relatives deserve is the truth. They have lost, but at least we give, and here we are not giving them that truth. Yes.
So can I ask this, George? Now, moving forward, does this mean that now that they've established that this task force or this protocol committee, as you and I are joking about here, has found that everybody in some way was to blame, everybody was responsible? Does this mean that these poor parents will not even be compensated in some way?
They haven't said that in the report. There's no
indication of even compensation.
Actually, that's something that others are asking.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Report, you are blaming nobody. What about compensation?
Yes.
They're not even recommending any compensation. I haven't seen that. Maybe I've missed it, but I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that.
Because either way, I think these parents really would need the state to compensate.
Exactly.
The state was to blame.
Exactly.
Whoever was part of the state should be compensated. Am I right?
Exactly.
Because it was a failure by the state to protect these children.
Yes.
Whether it was the Ministry of Sport, whether it was whoever was manning the gate, the organizing committee, at the end of the day, that's an extension of the state.
Yes. Maybe they should sue. These parents should sue. Because
will they have enough of a leg to stand on if they did that?
Oh, sure, why not? They lost their children were killed at the Stampede. Somebody, I think it's a question of duty. Somebody had a duty.
The duty of care, which I've talked about in the programs.
Yes, they can sue.
So who would you be suing in this case?
You'll be suing is the state.
But they're saying that there's no one in particular to blame.
What do you mean? Of course, you're not going to use the report. No, you're not going to use the report. This report can't be used anyway.
So this is just rubbish.
It's crap. It's a disgrace. Nobody is going to take you seriously if you use that report. You are going to say, my daughter went to stadium. They were due to take care of life. They didn't. I'm suing the state. So you're suing the state. Maybe that's what they should do. Otherwise, this is a cover-up, a disgrace.
It is, absolutely.
It's a disgrace.
So going forward now, if indeed the parents decide to actually garner support, come together and actually sue the state, I wonder, will whoever is going to go up against the state have the confidence to take on government, given the cover-up that's already existing at the moment?
No, the cover-up is about the report.
Yes.
The fact that the children died, the fact that somebody died, it's there. They died at the stadium because somebody was negligent. So it's the negligence that they'll be talking about. Yes, they'll still have something to stand on.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will try and find a conclusion to this debate. Remember, you're watching and listening to Hot Current right here on Times TV and Times Radio with me, Wezi Kasambala, and George Kasakula, and we're talking about the report about the Bingu National Stadium stampede that resulted in the death of 8 people. The report, which George says is practically a waste of time. In fact, he's called it crap. He says it's rubbish, not even worth the paper that it's been released on. Am I right?
Yes, correct. 100% correct.
All right. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching and indeed listening to Hot Current right here on Times TV and Times Radio with me, Wezi Kasambala, and of course, Times Group Editor-in-Chief, my partner in crime, George Kasakula. And we're talking about the Bingu National Stadium stampede, where the president instituted a task force to investigate what happened. Well, the report came out. George is not impressed. He's not happy. He says it's rubbish. No central issue has actually been addressed. And we all know, or most of us know, that the issue was the gates were opened late. That is why people were jostling, scrambling, and ended up perishing because of poor planning, poor organization. So George says, in his view, there was a cover-up. First of all, we also talked about the constitution of the task force in the first place, why it had principal secretaries instead of more independent minds like you would expect in a commission of inquiry, for example, and that wasn't the case. So clearly, there's a lot of maneuvering that's at play to try and perhaps in George's view, cover up this issue and brush it under the carpet. But now, let's look at some of your allegations. You're saying this is a cover-up. You're suggesting it's a conspiracy, George. It makes me wonder now, as a Malawian, am I safe? Are we in safe hands, living under a state that is covering up such serious, serious issues?
Wezi, as a Malawian, you must really get very, very, very worried. If I were you, I would get very, very worried. Because I am
Should I emigrate?
No, well, the only
Should we all emigrate?
The only problem was that even if we immigrate, it will not change the fact that we were born in Malawi. And we didn't choose to be born in Malawi. So we were born in Malawi and we die in Malawi. The only problem is that at this moment, under this government, we should get very, very worried. We are living dangerously. When you look at the incompetence that surrounds you, this idea of covering up, this failure of simply identifying somebody who was responsible and then make them pay for it, is that not worrying?
It is, absolutely. Well, it's quite obvious to you and I.
Now the question that you must ask yourself is, ngati zinthu zoti zaoneka public mali wachitika kwachitika ngozi mali wachitika zoti Joseph tufuna tupeze mansala akuzibisa ndi aubisa zinthu zinga zimene tizimaziwo. There's certain things that we don't know. They happen if they can try to hide something that is very, very clear.
Yeah.
It is very clear, a Stampede form, we know it, and this is common sense, isn't it?
Yes.
This is common sense.
It's quite obvious what the problem was here. Yes.
I don't think we are saying anything special. Or it's common sense. Ngati Stampede inapangika. Stampede kuti pangike pakale shukuru. Shukuru chakhala bwanji chimalimbira chani. Kunali amagawa nyama kapena. Samagawa nyama. Amafuna aone mu stadium aone mpira. Mpirawo stadium osatsekula. Anapeza kusegula stadium. So they waited outside. Somebody delayed. Very,
and
very,
the
very
more
clear.
they waited, the more they waited, the more the numbers grew.
They are trying. They are trying to play with that. Uzithawadala, kuzisiya basi, nkumanama, kudaivi ni magolo. Oh, akuministre sana samale, akuministre mazitu kumula mtapita kumeneku. Zukuza nichukuza na chani. It's a cover up.
Yeah.
So my problem, my worry is if we have such people that can try to cover up in broad daylight, that is what is what is it that they are covering up? That's why I'm saying, as the Malawians, we must get very, very, very worried. We are living dangerously under this government.
So it always comes back to the same issue, I think, George, which is the powers of the president, the executive powers. Because ultimately, when it came, for example, to the Maysgate scandal, you and I talked about this before we went to break at some point. We talked about how there was a commission of inquiry that was put together, independent minds, a former chief justice, etc., came together, released a report with very damning findings.
Yes.
Even after the president and his camp had been denying any kind of wrongdoing for a very long time.
Yes.
In the end, we saw even the minister getting fired,
Yes.
etc.
Yes.
So obviously, we in some ways got to the bottom of the matter.
Yes.
Now, in this case, the president chose to take a completely different route because of his powers.
Yes.
So to me, it strikes me that the issue is how much power the president has to wield, and that is what needs to be addressed.
Where's the power
Yes.
that the president wields
Yeah.
is necessary. That
Yes.
one person among us
Yes.
must have that power. So there's no question
Up
about
to a point.
Yes, there's no question. No, we have defined the kind
Yes.
of power that he has. We have defined. Whether that power is too much, some of it,
Yes.
that is debatable, is something that we can do. But at the end of the day, no matter what we do, we are going to have a president that has power. The question that we Malawians must ask ourselves is, this person that we gave this power to, which we are trying to limit, is he using that power responsibly? And the answer is very clear. In the commission of inquiry, power was used responsibly in the best interest of Malawians. That's why the end result is a good one.
Yeah.
And good one, not because somebody, not because if we are happy to see someone suffer, getting arrested or whatever, but as a country, we are giving a message to our politicians that when we give you power, when you are minister, when you are what, make sure that that power is exercised well.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then somewhere you'll be caught and you are going to pay for it.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. That's what I'm getting at, George. The fact that yes, it's constitutionally enshrined
Yes.
that they have these powers,
Yes.
but the problem is these powers are subjective.
So no, it's not.
Depending on the subject and how they wield
No,
it.
no,
Because in
wait.
this case, we have a president who's not using his powers wisely.
No, so it's,
Yes.
so it's not because power is subjective. It's because we have someone who chooses not to use it. In this instance, Yashimanga, he used it right.
Yes.
In this one, he used it wrongly.
So we'll
Now,
always be at the mercy of the person holding this power.
exactly.
That's my point.
That's why we must hold them accountable. We must hold them accountable to tell them like we are doing good. That is wrong. That's why this program is about feedback. Ways. We go back to the objective of this program. It's
Feedback,
feedback. Telling them good. Present. Mphamvu zo muli nazo ife sitingalembane nanu mphamvu muli nazo anthu anakusankhana Malawi 2014 koma apa simunayuze bwino. Look at the result. People are saying even the parents were wrong. People were boasting. I mean, that's irrelevant, total crap. In the end, nobody is going to be held accountable. Why in this one, Yashimangai, someone is being held to account.
Yeah.
They will account until we know analagwa sana lagwe. Bas.
Ndekuti sitingakhalindika ka system kena kake kuti where there's something of this magnitude, whether the president likes it or not, it should be a different form of investigation. It should always be perhaps a commission of inquiry.
Well,
Then
in that case, Magoro can now go to court because this is executive.
yes.
Executive has let us down. We have grievances. We have a grudge.
So we must now go to the judiciary.
Yes, go to the judiciary. They should review this. Maybe compensate the parents.
Yes.
The parents who this committee is inserting that they too are to blame because sana they were careless. The court should say the same thing. Let's go to the court and say, well, the court will say, yes, you parents, if it's to compensate because you were careless, you didn't local your children, you didn't have proper parenting skills, no parental guidance. Let's see if the court can say that. Because obviously, the executive has let us down.
Yeah.
It has let us down, like you are saying. It has let us down. We have this country is rule of law. We can go to court.
Yeah.
So maybe you are right. These parents should go to court.
I
and
think
get
they
justice.
should, because to me it strikes me, like I said, it's always about the executive powers that we
No,
bestowed on our president. They don't use them properly.
They can be reviewed by the courts. So these parents are going to court. Otherwise, this is a massive letdown Massive letdown. We are slapping right across the faces of the parents that have lost their children. That's insulting. The parents are being insulted.
And it's, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, in any real country where things are working, where you have such an incident, it will always be the state who will be to blame.
Yes.
Whoever was involved in the organizing of that event would be to blame.
Yes,
Why
exactly.
are we finding it so difficult to just pinpoint
because
who was at fault?
Because we're covering up. Whereas I've told you we're covering up. They're covering up.
But it seems to be a habit.
Yes, it's a habit. Yes, it's a habit. They're covering. It's a habit of this government. They cover up things. They're covering up. They want all of us to. They are very clever. They've mastered the art of covering up. They want all of us to forget.
Yes.
You take them to task about kaya area ejini mazimu aonongeka. They will try to cover up kuti ibale sanga Malawi.
It's not going to be covered up. This is a very serious issue. There was loss of life here. I don't think anybody, particularly the parents, are going to let
I
this slide.
wish all of us Malawians Wezi were saying exactly the same thing that you are saying. I wish all of us were getting angry with this because this is completely wrong. This is abuse of power. What we are seeing here
You can say that again.
is abuse of power. No.
And that was the intention, wasn't it, George?
Someone must
release a report and we'll say, yes, well, we did something. We investigated.
And
these are our
you know
findings.
what is the delayed in releasing that report? The president gave them 2 weeks. They released after 7 weeks. They were hoping that you will forget. But you would just force what I want. 6 July, about this, they released theirs. I think there was a story in the media. Then the following day, they also released theirs. Because the people say, so no, nanga ichi president mura nanga president tent bangalizi or bangalizi, then they give us this trash. No, it's not right.
No, it's not.
So it's a massive cover up. The question is, should we Malawians allow it?
Yeah.
We are living dangerously under
And
this
what can we
administration.
do about it as
Yes,
well?
what can we do
we do to prevent these kind of cover-ups from taking place?
Get organized, go to court. Those parents should get organized, go to court, and demand compensation from government.
But that would just solve that problem. Going forward, there'll probably be more cover-ups. That's what I keep saying, George. It's our structures that are problematic.
We must be alert.
Our structures allow cover-ups to prevail.
Yes, we must be alert. We must be alert. What I mean is we Malawians must know this is a cover-up. We should not say, court. This country is a rule of law. It's not just them. But it's Alpha and Omega. You can have that reviewed. Here, Adi Samara. Adi, a colleague who to say, Abarumudi Sanamara. Aba, Adi Samara, our Nimaboza, irrecoverable. Tidani, this country rule of law, we can go to court.
Okay.
But we Malawians must get very, very worried under this government.
We should be worried.
We should be worried.
We should be very concerned.
We should be very concerned.
So as George says, in his view, this is a disgrace, and he's called it, what a disgrace. But I'm afraid that is where we're going to have to leave Hot Card for this week. We'll, of course, be back again next week with George talking about another completely different issue. But you've heard it for yourselves. It's up to you to make up your minds. Was this report indeed a disgrace? Is this the way forward? Is this how we should deal with issues like this, as serious as the loss of 8 lives, purely as a result of poor planning, poor management, and colossal negligence, I think, in my view.
That's right.
Colossal negligence. And yet here we are talking about parents who might not even be compensated. That is what we were discussing today on Hot Card. But for today, we're going to have to leave it. From me, Wezi Kasambala. Until next week, it's bye-bye.